change
17.
it for it.
Good idea. I agree.
Okay. Oh.
7.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not, at least we have something. We put our ideas at least on paper, so if it ever comes back up, at least at least we have somewhere to pick up. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Good evening. May I call the January 17th Borough Council meeting to order? Please rise for a Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Here.
Here?
Here.
Here.
Rep-
Are you here?
Oh, yes,
Here.
here, thank you.
Ken, can you call the mayor?
A report on the executive session from January 10th, personnel, litigation, and real estate, no action was taken. At this time, do we have any public comment on agenda items?
Dawn Knoll, 123 State Street. I have a question on number 3, the Huffer Park proposal. I looked in the packet, and I see that there's a lot of work that wants to go into this proposal. Do we know when this is going to take place?
Yeah, we can address that now, but we can also address it more
But-
fully
But then I won't be able
at
to
number.
comment on it. That's my concern.
Okay. So the proposal reflects our interest in meeting the April 5th deadline for DCNR funding. So that's the timing, if that's what you're asking about.
It is, and also, I'm assuming you're going for a grant through DCNR.
Correct.
What is the matching?
50 to 50 at this, yeah.
So, where we just spent for grant money, granted, it was this, it was that, we didn't spend any money per se. But we've already spent money on Huffer Park.
Mm-hmm.
We've also put money into Oak Hills
Mm-hmm.
this year. We've also put money into Overdorf, or it's going to go into Overdeer. You haven't done anything with Colston. You haven't done anything with Susquehanna Street,
Mm-hmm.
either one of the ones on Susquehanna or on Southwood.
Right.
You're going to put more into Huffer Park. You've raised our taxes. You've raised our personal taxes. Our sewer rates are going up and have going up 12%. You wanted to raise chickens because of poverty. Where are you getting the money for this?
You've made a lot of points, so let me address a few of them. But I think what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, is to let our engineer here also address all of it more fully. Number one, on Overdeer. We did submit a design to Overdeer for the fall DCNR grant cycle. You may recall that previously we had bundled Overdeer and Oak Hills into
Right.
one project. We got funding for that, but the price of the
Increase.
had increased so
Right.
that we could not do Overdeer.
Correct.
We could only do Oak Hill.
Correct.
So Overdeer was left designed,
But not done.
ready to go, but not completed.
Right.
And so last fall was a very unique moment when it comes to DCNR funding. You may know that they typically only have a spring cycle. It was very unusual to have a fall cycle. but there seems to be, funding available for recreation and green spaces. Therefore, we took our already designed project and submitted it to the fall grant cycle. Unfortunately, we were not successful. So Overdeer is still a design project that hasn't been funded.
So then, why not, instead of putting out for the April for Huffer, put it back into DCNR for this and the other two on Susquehanna?
Mhm.
There was some overlap in the announcement of that and kind of our meeting coming into Hoffer, so.
So in short, we were going to table agenda item number 3 because we just recently found out that Overdeer was not a successful grant, and we are having 2 meetings this week to discuss what path we have forward.
I would ask you to table it for the rest of the year. That would be my recommendation.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? Seeing none, agenda item number 1, approval of the meeting minutes.
Do I have a motion to approve council meeting minutes for January 3rd, 2023 meeting as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll be abstaining.
Okay. Agenda item number 2, approval of the bills.
Do I have a motion to approve payment of bills as shown on the accounts payable list dated January 12th, 2023, which is for the period of December 30th, 2022 through January 13th, 2023, and to ratify approval of such bills already paid and to authorize the appropriate officials to take the required actions to make those payments?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda item number 3 will be tabled until our meetings this week will determine our next action steps. Agenda item number 4, manager's report.
Thank you. I'll draw your attention to number 1 on my report. Now that we have established a highway and property superintendent, we'd like to get him his own credit card so he doesn't have to borrow the credit card of another staff member when he is making a purchase online or such things. So I'd like to ask you to put that on our agenda. In your packet, there is a resolution
Mm-hmm.
to do that, but I'd like to know if you have any questions, and if you're okay with that, I'll put it on the business meeting for a vote beginning of February.
Okay, will be added to the agenda.
There's currently a vacancy on the Planning Commission. Brandon Brawler is in the audience today. He has indicated he is interested in serving on the commission. Could we add that to the agenda for your consideration in February?
Mm-hmm. Added to the agenda.
All right, item number 3 on my report is the Little Middletown ribbon cutting at Huffer Park, and I'd like to have a little bit of discussion on that in terms of, if you looked at the
Mm-hmm.
draft list and that we provided, and if you have any thoughts of other people you want to invite to the April 1st ribbon cutting, and what sort of other things you might want to have at that. It's been suggested that maybe we would have food trucks there or some other types of activities when we have the ribbon cutting, and just wanted to nail that down, see what council's wishes are as far as what we want to invest there
Mm-hmm.
in effort. Somebody also
Any
mentioned
thoughts
maybe
on that?
placing a banner at the square for the ribbon cutting and things like that, but,
I have some additions to this that I can email.
okay.
Okay. Mayor Curry said that he might have some additions to who to invite. He'll email them to Ken and Grace. If anyone else has other additions, maybe that's the best way to move forward. Ken, you did bring up a very good point, which is I don't think we established a time for the event. I know the idea of food trucks, I think, is a very expedient way of offering, food for folks if they come down and are interested in food without us having to think about preparing and serving food. But to make the vendors, and this was Counselor Miller's point, to make sure the vendors' time is worthwhile, would the hours of the event go over lunch, or what would be lunchtime, like 11 to 1 or 11 to 2?
And I don't know, I haven't done a lot of research on this yet, and I don't know if Grace has made any phone calls. We were talking about this in the office, and what I saw online, I think some of these food trucks might want a fee to even arrive to sell their stuff. They want a guaranteed payment, so you'd have to, that's why, it was suggested we have food trucks as well. We have to determine if we're gonna have a budget for
Right.
this event.
Right.
Somebody suggested, well, maybe we should buy those big scissors, which we don't have, or
Mm-hmm.
those types of things. And we don't want to just start doing those things without your.
Well, maybe the way to go is there anyone interested in working on this event? So we're not sitting here kind of planning the event during a council meeting, so we could do that and bring it back at next meeting.
That's a good idea.
Um,
Committee.
I'd certainly be willing to help out on things like vendor trucks or big scissors and ribbon or other activities. If there's so many kids that they can't all safely fit onto Little Middletown at one time, are there other activities to draw them and spread out the fun? So if anyone else would like to work on that,
I would.
all right, good. If anyone else thinks about it,
Or
let
maybe
us
the same
know
folks that are on the park committee will can have that discussion too when we meet.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good.
I have something to add. I think the idea of food trucks is great, but I would also like to see, the businesses in town be extended the courtesy of coming there and selling food.
That's a good
if they
idea.
want to, because,
Yeah, that's a good
they
idea.
are the bread and butter of this town, so I think we should offer that to them as well.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
That might be cheaper.
Anything else while we're all here? Otherwise, we'll take it to the committee and come back with more details.
Okay, great.
All right.
We discussed, the Park Steering Committee met on, is going to meet tomorrow. We met on the 10th to discuss potential improvements to the improvement projects in general, those that might be eligible for funding in the spring. And as you know, we'll talk about that this week.
Mm-hmm.
The other things are just for information. If anybody has I guess just a matter of note that we did consider this in the budget, but our trash, wholesale trash fees have gone up because the tipping fees now go up every year. But we did incorporate that into our last ordinance that during the term of this contract with Penn Waste, the residents' retail trash costs go up each year. Just want to let you know that that's happening in case you get questioned why, my trash bill go up the next time they come in and pay their electric. But it was approved, I think, at least a year ago when we did the ordinance because the new trash contracts have escalators in them every year now.
Okay. Good.
That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Ken. Agenda item number 5, codes. Jason? Thank you.
Good evening. As you look over the report that I had sent, I'm going to mostly focus on 2, unless there are other questions with the others. Second bullet point will be implementing the inoperable vehicle ordinance, and that'll be coupled with the vehicle storage zoning ordinance about multiple trailers being on lots.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be doing that in phases because that's going to have a lot of impact. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to one phase now, and then once we get that all set up, we'll start a second phase until it's fully completed.
Jason, since that is a major initiative now out of codes, could you keep that on your report each time and update us with more details?
Yep, we'll
Thank you.
definitely do that. The second bullet point I have is there was some discussion that we're trying to figure out with 30 third-party home inspectors possibly looking through the rental inspections versus having codes office doing the full inspections. And I looked at some various ranges. Being a former home inspector myself, I kind of know the ins and outs of that. But I spoke with one of my colleagues, and they said they could range between 150 to 300 at a max level.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't go that high unless it was something of a bigger rental inspection. But it'd be more towards the 150 range,
Mhm.
200 range. So this could be something of a hybrid model that could help area businesses, along with the codes office, with the lack of personnel to look at getting
Right.
rental inspections
Right.
completed. So it's something I'm going to look more into. I have the one home inspector that's going to work along with me.
Mm-hmm.
I plan this out, and I'll get you some more info as we come along if you need to.
Thank you, Jason. Jason, in talking to your colleagues, how often are these safety inspections conducted?
So we, as a home inspector, don't do them. We mostly do real estate or personal inspections, but this would be something that would be of an interest in the wintertime because home sales and inspections are lower, so home inspectors are looking for the business to do that.
Mm.
However, they also have their own SOPs for each individual inspection, where if we designed it, they'd have to follow the Middletown Borough's ordinances, Borough Council's wishes and desires, and then it can be one uniformed system. So if we had the landlords call the various landlord or home inspectors on the list, they would all have that same form. They'd all get the same inspection results, but their fees could be very
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good, thank you.
All right.
We look forward to hearing more about that one also.
Yep.
Thank you. Agenda item number 6, finance.
Good evening. If there aren't any immediate questions on the report, the one item I did want to highlight is that after much pestering, we did get confirmation that we will be receiving 2 years of the Victim Crimes Task Force payment for the police radios. So that was good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have any other questions? Great, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sally. Agenda item number 7, police report.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Try to be as brief as my predecessor also, so I'll mainly focus on the police staffing update. The union approved the side agreement for the new testing offering some incentives for hires, so we'll get a testing date posted as quickly as possible. Officer Coleman was officially certified. Officer Coleman was sworn in at the last meeting. He was officially certified by MOPEC and received his signing bonus from the borough. And as we talked about before, Sergeant Morris's last day was last week. He officially retired in good standing as a member of the Middletown Borough Police Department. Someone with as much experience and historical knowledge as him creates somewhat of a void. He knew everybody, so someone with that kind of experience is a tough loss, but we wish him well in his future endeavors. At the next meeting, I'll have year-end numbers for 2022 of UCR numbers, of crime-specific numbers, and we'll also have some calls for service data for the year to pass around and provide some information for you. Little update on the graffiti issue that occurred down at Hoffer Park. The investigation is ongoing. We identified some individuals who were inside the fence area from the new video surveillance system, who we were able to then identify a group of people that they are friends and familiar with, and we're working through interviews of school-age students currently as we speak. The school has been of great assistance to us as far as personnel and access to anybody that we're hoping to interview. And they're still working through the initials that were on some of the graffiti, hoping they can provide some leads for us. So that's an ongoing case. And
May I just make two comments quickly on that? First, thank you to Public Works for so quickly going down and hanging a tarp in front of the graffiti so that it doesn't need to be seen and maybe prevent any further damage to the mural. And secondly, the group that painted the mural a year and a half ago is going to attempt to repair it before the Little Middletown event. March is a funny time to paint, but we'll see. If any of the youth from the school you determine were part of that,
we'll certainly give them an opportunity.
maybe they'd like to help paint and repair it.
And hopefully we'll have some incentive by Judge Judy to provide that incentive, so. And I'm not sure we talked about it at the last meeting, but you knew about the PCCD grant was unofficially approved. Now it's been officially approved, and we've received official correspondence from PCCD of the grant's been approved, so we'll work through that. And we were assigned an individual to help us be our facilitator through PCCD, and during a conversation with him, he sincerely advised us that our grant that was completed by myself and Sally from finance was a breeze to deal with. He said we did a great job, so I want to throw some kudos to our finance department here. And we did according to him, it was an excellent grant application and a no-brainer. So.
Well done, thank you. Yeah.
Anybody have any questions?
Okay, thank you. Are we doing an electric department report?
Electric and highway separately. Do electric.
Okay. And who's doing electric?
Greg.
Oh, there, I'm sorry, Greg, I didn't see you. Pardon me. Pardon me.
I just have 2 bullet points off my report. Number 2, we still haven't received any applicants for the lineman position since last report. And on number 6, Osmos Utilities has completed their inspection and maintenance of all 1,200 poles within the borough. Approximately 10% had a non-priority reject due to their decay, and that's average. That was 10 years ago or 12 years ago when we had it done. That was about the right amount also. So I'll come up with a plan on replacement for those. Other than that, is there any questions on? I have no action items this month.
I know it's disappointing not to yet have any applications for the linemen, but I do appreciate the conversations that are occurring around recruiting efforts that will be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you.
Super. And I will be at a PMEA technical meeting Thursday, which I'll be able to also have those conversations with my peers. This isn't unique just to Middletown, so maybe I can get a little bit better insight on some of the stuff that they've done in the past to
That would be
help
helpful.
their issues.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Highway and Grounds Department. Thank you, Matt.
Wanted to give a shout out to PD. When I review the cameras for down at Hoffer, they trip the trigger each time they drive past the park at various hours of the day and night, and we're seeing their vehicles down there. So we appreciate the officers' efforts to keep an eye on the park down there. It is appreciated. Couple of things. I had some little action items. If we could go to number 2. I was talking with Sally a little bit about this. I'd like to look at working with finance and with council to set up a sinking fund using remaining fund, whatever the proper term is, year-end budget monies. Positive, yes. We currently do one for fire. Police has a sinking fund. Public Works has really no fund in order to set aside for projects or for replacing equipment. And as I've presented previously, a lot of our equipment is aging, and we're gonna have to try and come up with a couple ways to skin that cat in the future. So I'd like you guys to consider that and start setting aside something. Be appreciative. Sally provided some good, be requesting approval to fund a highway ground sinking fund from a positive fund balance assessment at the end of each year at an amount of 10%, not to exceed $50,000. These funds are to be utilized for specific projects and upgrades to equipment, property, and buildings as approved by council. You can tell a financial person wrote that. For me. So that is what we'd be looking for. Just, it's nothing to come out of, to be a budgeted thing. It would be out of the positive fund balance, as Sally noted. Third item I had on the report was, as we were getting out holiday decorations back in November and putting them back away last week, there are a number of older lighted decorations. They're much smaller than what we have currently down there. Most of them are, I'm going to say, roughly 4 feet high, 4.5 feet high, in that neighborhood. They are incandescent bulbs. They're non-LED. They're much more dim compared to the brighter bulbs that we have. A number of the pieces, some of the light strings don't work. They need some TLC. As a couple of the photos, there's some large ornaments in various states of assembly, disassembly. There's a nice fire pit that we own for some reason. There's a half dozen or so kerosene heaters. There's the large, what did they call that thing, Ken?
We'll just call it the New Year's Eve sphere.
Yeah, we'll go with that one. Yeah. It's a very large thing that doesn't store well anywhere. Apparently it was dropped a number of years ago. I'm not sure if it was dropped more than 1 year or not, for a New Year's celebration here in town. We didn't really get up onto the loft all that much. There are also, on the photos, someone did a really wonderful job painting various Disney characters or Disney-esque characters, so they're not copyrighted. They're on styrofoam. I guess they were hung inside, according to Bobby Barnes. There are a lot of the plywood storyboards that are down there. Most of those need repainted. They need a lot of touch-up work to them. I think they survived the flood. And on the mezzanine, on the loft, it looks like there's a lot of blow-molded, different Santa decorations, things like that. The guys looked quick. It looks like there might be some inflatables up there as well. You can see in the pictures, I'm having some roof issues down there. Eventually, I'm going to have to probably take the stuff off the loft to attack the roof issues. And I just kind of want some guidance on which direction we're going with a lot of these older decorations that may or may not ever be used again.
Matt's preference is to dispose of them because we haven't used them and they're just kind of in the way.
Right.
We could store other things in that shed.
Right.
Getting a little crowded.
Okay.
So wanted to make sure that there weren't some sentimental items like the New Year's Eve sphere, things like that that council may want to hold on to for future, but if not.
The storyboard, the high school said they would redo for us. Since that's been down there since I was a kid. The high school said they would retouch it up and repaint it.
There's lots of them. There's a,
Yeah, I know, I know.
I just don't know which direction we all want to go with doing decor. I can keep them down there, just something to think about and then advise me on. I mean, they're out of the way right now. We have everything put away for the 2022 Christmas
Well,
season.
You put 2 action items on your report, so I wouldn't mind seeing if we can deal with them instead of pushing them off. Sally, would you join us for action item number 2, the sinking fund, the Public Works sinking fund? I mean, clearly you did the work, you know, you put the verbiage together for Matt to present to us. Is that something that you could imagine being useful in terms of budgeting?
Well, it's not a budgeted item, so we would, at the end of the year, if there's a positive fund balance, we would do that 10% in a similar fashion that we do for the fire department.
Right.
So it's not a budgeted item.
Yeah,
We have
I
funds.
guess to be clear, it helps prevent big expenses showing up on the general fund and we can't deal with them well, so, yeah.
The goal of that sinking fund is for Matt to plan what he wants to utilize that money for, get council's approval on a set list, like we do for the electric sinking fund.
Right.
And then he would move forward when he had the funds to complete them.
Yeah. I mean, we certainly have a precedent for doing that. Any comments why that wouldn't be something we could move on tonight? We want to think about it more.
We already have, a model ordinance for the fire department that could be just recrafted. Jim could easily do it for public works equipment.
Okay. Then let's say we'll move forward with the
We'll
ordinance.
have them get something to Jim and maybe we can have
Okay, good.
him revise that for public works for the business meeting.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
Action item then back to the holiday decorations.
You could put the disposition list together with a
Hmm.
resolution, and then if there's somebody who thinks they want to keep something, we'll cross it off the list and we'll just
Right. And I can get
dispose
more,
of the things that you're sure are okay to go.
That sounds right.
and I can get some more photographs of the storyboards if you want. We can try and get some more pictures of what is upstairs on the loft. I'm just not sure which direction we want to go overall for the decor down there.
Some of those older decorations may have even been donated to us
They
at
were.
one time.
Blow molds, things like that.
The stuff on the loft is for the inside. When they did the inside, when Mackinnon did the inside,
Yeah, that's what the heaters are for too.
Okay.
They used to be in.
Well, I thank you for going to do a disposition list, but for me right now, anything we haven't used, I'm in favor of moving it along.
I can gladly work on a list and then present it at February's workshop meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe you wanna throw it on municipal bid, just as somebody come take everything and establish it has no value and nobody bids on it, or somebody gives a couple dollars for it.
Yeah, someone may want them.
Yeah.
It would
If
definitely.
we find some of those little cheap plastic things are broken, we're not gonna put them on.
Right, yeah, if it's trash, it's
Just go to the
trash.
dumpster, but you'll have to do a little more thorough
Okay,
investigation there.
not a problem at all. Ken and I talked a little bit about, the action item number 1. This was an error on my part. We removed, a number of signs off of borough properties that were put out, I believe, by the Baseball Association. And I had staff do that, so that was on me for removing them at the various places that they were. And I offered to pay for them, and I haven't heard from the Baseball Association, but I'll work through that with them. Kind of the point that comes up is, I guess, kind of, it's been let go that some areas, but not the pods. The pods or the square is kind of no man's land. Nothing goes in the square, kind of a thing. So we did have some comment. Ken and I had talked about this a little bit, and Jason and I talked about it. We can skip that one for now, and then internally we'll come up with a better plan on what we want to do. We want to allow organizations to promote themselves without potentially having sign clutter in a lot of various places, because as a municipality, it's difficult to say this sign's good and that sign isn't when they're basically a sign. Unless any of you have strong feelings on signs, but Jason and I did review the ordinance. I'm not looking to open a can of worms. I just wanted to note that it was my direction that staff went out and removed some signs that the baseball station had paid for. And that was, we unfortunately put them in a dumpster and then we put stuff on top of them. I wasn't able to rescue the signs for them.
Well, we could certainly have more conversation around this, making this a priority for zoning. I'm not sure. Is it a zoning issue, or is it that it was on borough property and we just don't like it on the square? Those are kind of two different things.
They're covered in the zoning
property
ordinance.
issue.
It's a borough property.
We had this issue with council, discussion with council before. I can remember it goes back a ways where somebody even helped us clean up the pods one time, then put their signs in, and we told them they couldn't do that. That wasn't part of the deal. We don't want that to become the gathering place for everybody who wants to advertise, because it's very busy there. It could also get to look very junky. So we take a property owner stance when it comes to the square and say, we don't allow anybody to put your signs in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to call us ahead of time and have a discussion about, hey, we're MABA and we're going to do a fundraiser, could we put a sign on the fence at the baseball or in the baseball park for a time that maybe people see? Maybe we might say okay to that, you know, but just for them, because it relates to baseball. But we're not going to say okay to somebody who wants to put up their homemade sign to, you know, eat at the Brownstone, you know, or eat at, you know, use ABC Plumbing.
I think
that-
that
that-
starts to become a major problem.
Yeah, we don't want to
because-
get into business, but 501c3s who want our assistance and let them know when they're sign up, like when they hang a banner, if they want us to put something out on a Facebook, if they don't have one, I don't see a problem.
Well,
So what if
it does
the
become-
Middletown Satanic Cult wants to put it up? Like I think that borough property should just be borough property, and you just don't allow anything.
Unless we limit it to recreation.
I don't think you can put a limit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you get into content of sign issues as the government, it's
So legally,
always
we should
sticky.
stay clear of all
Right.
approved
It's-
signs on borough property.
Yeah, it gets very sticky when you start differentiating between who can put a sign there, who can't, what kind. It's
Political-
not a borough event. I mean, obviously the borough
Right.
can put
Right.
its own signs, but.
Well, we don't even, we can end this whole discussion here then, in my estimation, if that's the way we feel. It's, this is really a borough property issue because, from my standpoint, I don't think we should get into the zoning issue.
Right,
If
I agree.
MABA has, one of their coaches who wants to put one of their signs in their own front yard, and it just happens to be in the right of way, and the zoning thing says temporary signs aren't in the right of way, now we have an issue enforcing that for everybody who gets, wants to run for office, you know, and puts a temporary campaign sign up.
Wants to sell their house.
And when you look at Middletown, there are some homes in Middletown that don't have 5 feet until you're up against their house. Some of their houses are in the borough street right away. So I don't think we have an issue as long as we understand the borough property. We're not taking any signs, whoever they are.
I agree. That seems like the most reasonable way to resolve this, and maybe going forward, because those signs are popping up everywhere, people just using them for all sorts of reasons. Maybe just if you can figure out whose sign it is, if we can, and we can't always, but if we can, just a phone call. Hey, not on borough property, we pulled your sign, come get it. Maybe
Well,
something like
well,
that.
Well, again, real estate signs for sale, they're temporary signs, right? And there's plenty of homes in this town. I just saw one today at the corner of Lawrence and Market. They have it in this 2-foot space of grass between their sidewalk and their house, and I know that technically is in the borough right away, but where else are you gonna put it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, typically in the zoning ordinance, I don't remember yours off the top of my head, but typically in the sign portion, you do accept out all for sale signs for real estate.
Campaign is a
Yeah,
temporary.
there's certain things
accepted
that,
out.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
thought as you get, for commerce, and you just gotta get it.
I think what Matt's saying, temporary signs is not even, temporary signs, he believes, according to where our zoning ordinance is written, aren't supposed to be in the right of way.
Period. Mm-hmm.
That's not possible with a lot of homes in this tight town, the way it's built, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So we start splitting hairs if you're gonna try to enforce that.
I mean, I'm happy to work with Jason and we can work with Mr. Diamond and try to come up with something that may work for our individual situations that we have here. Our zoning ordinance on signs is pretty specific how it is spelled out. There are various types of signs and it's pretty clear in there, but I also understand that we want to try and promote things for youth. We want to try and have a vibrant community here. If that's something that would be desired, I can gladly work with Jim, Ken, and
Sure.
Jason, and
Are we having complaints? Are we seeing clutter? Other than this incident that just happened with the MAP?
I don't hear a lot of it. I know Greg wants staff to pull them off the utility poles.
Yeah,
because
that's an
the
ordinance.
reason.
That is in
Strictly
ordinance.
That's for-
Yeah, that's definitely different.
But as far as I don't know if I get more than 1 or 2 complaints a year about signs. It's not a huge critical thing.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Matt.
You're very welcome. As always, if you have any questions, just reach out to me and, yes, ma'am.
Since you brought up the pods, I thought this might be a good time to discuss them. Do you have any plans to do anything with them this year?
Yes, we actually got a planting diagram done, through the nursery we've used in the past. I think Warburton's did a little planting design for us. And by the time we got that, it was into the time of season that it wasn't gonna work to plant plants up there. They weren't gonna survive. They needed a lot of watering. So I would like to look this spring and dig that back out and at least kind of phase things in of putting some things in there. We did purchase mulch last year and put in there, which really helped with keeping down the weeds over the
Definitely.
summertime. The one pod has some kind of creeping thing in there. It might be a creeping Jenny, that we have to take care of in there. But other than that, yeah, I would like to start putting some things around and brighten things up.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt, excuse me, I have a question.
Mhm.
The Colston Park sign, is there a status on that?
I can let you know that tomorrow. He did say that it was not in production yet, but he anticipated production would take a few weeks. I was thinking around the end of January from what he had said previously.
Okay,
I can double check with him and let all of you know if you would like.
okay.
I have one more thing.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry, I just remembered. I meant to, I don't think I emailed you about this. Did I, about a dumpster at the pool?
No.
It would have been over the weekend. So can you check, there's a dumpster in the pool parking lot still. Is the borough paying for that?
No.
Because
That's one of the ones I believe we're provided with in the
Yeah.
contract.
maybe they should. I mean, why, I don't, yeah.
It does, there's a lot of folks who walk their pets down there, and that dumpster does collect a lot of dog waste that people pick up and then bag and put in there. Yeah, I thought about this. If we take the dumpster away, they're still probably going to walk their dog over there, and we may end up with a bigger thing there.
So they provide us with so many dumpsters
Yes, it's in the contract.
in the contract? How many do we get, do you know?
I'm gonna say there's at least 6, maybe more, that were provided in the contract. And then they were named specific places where they were at, like highway sheds, the pool and some other places.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Matt. Agenda item number 9, Veolia joint venture. Not present this evening. Agenda item number 10, anything from council to bring forth?
I would like to, before council brings something forth, that we got a year-end report from the fire department. I see Chief Whitebread's in the audience. I didn't know if you wanted to ask him any questions or if he had anything he wanted to
I
ask
was
me.
going to ask if you were wanting to make a report or just provide this for our information.
Provide it for your information and if anybody has any questions about it. The year-end report that I provided was our man hours, training conducted, everything like that, as you could see in the actual written year-end report. The graph is going to show you the percentage of what our units respond to calls. The good intent calls, that's basically the catch-all for anything that there's no classification in the NIFR system for us. And then the incident types, that is average personnel per incident type for the whole year. So in 2022, the average responding for a cooking-related fire was 12. Road or freight accident, including the train and everything like that, would be 10. So that's the breakdown there. We logged, like I said, we logged over 1,143 hours in training last year. All these numbers are up since 2019. 2020, I'm kind of writing that year off. So with me coming back and giving reports, this is the most recent one, and we're up in all that. I also have, which will be provided for you, I can give you a copy now if you guys would like to see it. I cannot answer the questions for it. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm a fireman, I put out fires. But as far as numbers go, our 2022 actual budget, and then our projected 2023 budget. 2022, and I can give copies if you guys want them. Grace said I didn't have to get into it if I didn't want to, because I'm not a numbers person, but we have copies for you. This year, 2022, or past year, 2022, our budget came in that we spent $170,052, so putting us $20,052.56 over the 150. So I have it, we have it laid out, we have it projected. If you guys have questions, you can route them to me, and I'll make sure they get to the treasurer and financial secretary to answer them to the fullest potential that we can.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any questions?
We appreciate the time that Jim Whelan and Earl Bright have spent with Sally, just working on processes and working on a way that we can work together.
We are currently ready, and this is discussion for us to move forward with. We got all the warranty repairs done to the 2021 Seagrave pumper that we purchased, and we are ready to sell or put up for bid the 2001 KME pumper. With talking with Sally, I know we have the ability to use Municipid, but wanting to find out, since that's a more focused piece of apparatus, would you like us to write it and get it into the fire department magazines that get sent all around the country? And we always put, when we do sell a piece of apparatus, that the deadline is this, by sealed bid, and we have the right to accept or reject any and all bids. And at that point, when we get the sealed bids, I could come to you guys and be like, okay, here they are. What do we want to do? It's technically your guys' rig. It's titled to you guys. When it comes time to do transfers, all that, I know that's going to be you guys, but for the most money.
Do we care how it's promoted?
Well, it sounds like a good idea, maybe promote it both ways, but, you know, maybe we even put a. I don't know
Can
if
you do it both ways? That was a question.
Well, it'd have to have, everything would have to time into the same.
That's what I had too. I didn't know
Yeah.
if you could.
I mean, we could advertise it multiple, we probably wouldn't run it on a computer platform if I assume the magazine, you know, doesn't
Some
have.
of the people, like fire departments, they come to us and they say, when can we set up a time to come see it? When
Makes
can we
sense.
go pump the vehicle? When
Yeah.
can we go drafting from the river with it? Things like that. So, I mean, we'll gladly handle it. We're working up a spec sheet of its full spec so we can try to get top dollar for it. I just didn't know.
Yeah, and I
When it comes to
wonder if, you
municipal
know,
bid, I'm out.
Yeah, I wonder if you guys could maybe suggest a reserve, even though we say reject all, might be good to,
Sealed bid starting at,
yeah,
I can put in.
yeah, we might wanna,
The bid should come here, though.
yeah, the bids ought to come here,
Okay,
yeah, but
you tell me what.
I
meeting
think it
night-
does, it makes sense if that's the targeted audience that's, better than,
So have them come here,
To
60
Sally?
West Demos, and just put on their
Yeah.
bid for 2001 KME pumper.
right?
Okay.
Right.
What reserve do you want?
Well, I was gonna say, we'd have
Or
to
do you
get,
want me
to hear-
to come back to you with?
yeah,
fair
and
market
if you
values on it?
can't, we may be able to,
Your folks are.
Get a professional.
Well, Rich is writing the spec sheet now, and he's the one, he was gonna give me some prices, so I can bring all that, shoot you guys an email. I just wanna get it going, so that we can get it sold, and if I'm not mistaken, just for clarity, that was a discussion that whatever we got profit from that was going to go for the apparatus sinking fund for the next vehicle, correct?
That would be my recommendation. Council would decide, but I think that would make the most sense.
Yeah,
Okay, I just wanted to find out about that one to
Yeah.
go forward.
okay.
Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Whatever you make, roll it into the,
No, that
into the
sounds
equipment
right.
fund.
It's apparatus, so, yeah, keep it for apparatus.
So I'll get, the full spec sheet from Rich and what we should fairly be expecting to get for it.
yeah, I mean, we'd set a floor, and that sort of sets the some expectation of what folks ought to start to bid at, but it's also, we legally wouldn't sell it if they all come in under that. And
Okay, that's fine, I'll do that.
we can always
and,
rebid it again after in a different,
We plan to, we've been maintaining it the whole time, right now it's winterized. I hope nobody wants to come pump it, that I have to unwinterize the pump, that it fills it with water, and I have to get that done again. But if they would, we'll figure out something. I don't know, is there anywhere in the borough to put it that's a heated garage or climate controlled somewhat, that if somebody
till the
does
spring.
wanna drink, make me fill the pump?
Hmm.
2 months away.
yeah, I mean, you could time it for the spring, if
2 months away from March. Just-
And I'm good. Oh, you
Yeah.
mean like the deadline date?
Yeah, put the deadline date out. We'll deal with it in the next couple months, so we don't have to.
That sounds right.
Well, if you're gonna, this is a question. If you're trying to reach the biggest audience, and I don't know what it costs to advertise in these fire department magazines, and I don't know what the reach is with the magazines, but what if the ad in the fire magazine said that there will be an electronic bid and you use municipal bid? So the ad in the magazine say there will be
Good
a
idea.
municipal bid
Oh, that's clean.
on May 1st. So get in here and test it, look at it before May 1st, because that's when it's gonna go online. And then everybody could bid.
When it comes to that, I'll just have to sit with you and find out what I should do, writing it wise.
Well, we
Yeah.
still need the specs that, Grace,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can
we need the
upload
specs
specs
and we
on
need the
municipal bid
information
and
on
all
the-
that. But that,
Yeah.
maybe the ad isn't sealed bid, because maybe the magazine doesn't reach as many, but maybe they meet.
well, we may also
And
need to
municipal bid,
technically run it, and
Right.
if we're not doing municipal bid, we may need to advertise it at least, general
Hmm.
circulation papers and stuff, even though we don't expect
Yeah.
a lot of traffic on that, but I think it's a good idea to get within that sector.
I mean, like, there's a boatload of brokers that have already reached out to me. I told them it wasn't for sale as of yet. Of course, the brokers are always gonna come in a lot less than what we want.
Mhm.
So I'll get the spec sheet and everything done up, fair market around about what other rates
Mhm.
like that are selling for. And then I'll bring that to you, Ken, and you tell me where to go from there, if that's okay.
And let us know about these magazines too, who
Yeah.
are they, and what,
A lot of them, a couple of them are free, and there's a couple social media outlets that sell fire trucks that
Okay.
it can be posted on, we can do all that. I just, with municipal bid, I'm lost.
That's new.
That's something I've never done.
Grace is our expert there and can do it, it's just she knows how to upload all that. I just thought that, if we advertise and go for sealed, in magazines and go for sealed bids, and we don't get, we get this group of people. But if we do that as an advertisement, say it's going to municipal bid, maybe we get this group of people and
Oh, that's
this
smart.
bigger group of people.
That's smart.
I like that idea, Ken.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Ken, do you think it's reasonable that there will be a new home for that truck?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
It'll
good.
definitely go to a new home, just where, I'm actually talking right now to one of the interested parties.
Mm.
I gotta give them the spec sheet, is the Harrisburg Community College.
Oh, I'll be
for
darned.
the community college, so that's another venture there.
Right, right.
Now, that's something in the state code.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's funny, there are certain players that we don't have to
Bid.
actually bid it out. If we found a, governmental and certain 501c3.
The last thing he asked me, he said, what's the spec? And I said, I'll get it for you, Rich is typing it up, so.
Yeah, so we can always look into, there may be some players that are, serious about fair market value where we, kind of statutorily we get out of having to bid it if we think that
Oh,
makes sense.
interesting.
And, that there's good and bad about bidding, but, there's also that concern by a lot of bidders about sort of more as is than normal and, am I taking a chance and I'm gonna bid a little low and, it just feels different than when you're kind of negotiating directly with someone.
All right, I'll get the spec and get everything. I'll get back to you guys on that so we can get that moving. My goal is I just want to try to get it off of my insurance at renewal date, which is June. So
Ah.
that's what I'm just trying to hopefully get it done by then.
No, that sounds good. So,
Good.
Any
Thank
other
you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Guys, have a
Good.
night.
Anything else from council?
You took them? Grace, do you have the budget sheet that he had? Yes, I do. Okay.
Okay,
No, I'll get it afterward, thank you.
okay. If not, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting to executive session? We would not be returning. Oh, pardon me.
general public comment?
General public comment.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Ed Barb. Some of you know me. I'm president of Sportsman Limited. How you doing, Mayor?
Good to see you.
I was brought to my attention that you folks brought up the Middletown Reservoir again at last month's meeting. Myself as president and my other members, we're still interested in somehow working with the borough to get to be main tenants, or whatever you want to call us, take care of the reservoir. We don't want to see it sold. That reservoir does a lot of good for people in Middletown. With John's help, he retired now, and the borough's help, people put benches out there, put tables out there, there's a Jiffy John out there. You get more people out there. I'm out there just about all the time, and I very seldom see any of the council members or anybody out there to see what's going on out there. We hold our annual kids trout derby, and we have 100 and some kids out there every year. Well, let me back up. We haven't had any since COVID, and we haven't did any work to the stream. But we take care of collecting all the trash. Mr. Wilsbach, Mr. Klein Peter knows that we're out there bringing trash, cleaning, keeping it clean.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like to come up somehow with an agreement with the council and Sportsman Limited of getting and keeping the Middletown Reservoir the way it is. For the community, for the sportsmen, for the hikers. There's a lot of people that go out there and hike over the summer. And I know from talking to people up at the Capitol and that, there's, what do you call it, money out there to update that place.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here tonight to ask you to consider working with Sportsman Limited on maybe renting it to us for a little bit, or just signing it over to us for a little bit to keep it the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because you go out there, you see young kids out there all the time with their parents. You got people out there walking with their dogs, they're having picnics on the tables that the borough puts out there. So I'd really like to see some action taken on that,
Okay.
if we can do it. And could you tell me when the next time that's gonna be coming up to your meeting? I'd like to
Okay.
be there.
Yeah, Mr. Barb, we haven't really, council hasn't committed where they want to go with this, but we understand where you're coming from as far as the park issue and the sportsman issue of it is. Where the council has to look at is the financial implications of it. And this all was resurrected by the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, who came to us and said, you know, the body of water is silted in so badly that it's not good. The fish don't live that long in there. It's not deep enough. And they proposed that we have the property dredged. And they offered that the Army Corps of Engineers may be interested in doing that, but we'd have to cost share with them.
Okay.
So one, we don't know what that cost is, but there would be a significant cost to dredge it. The second significant cost is that the dam there is not in good condition. It's leaking, the mortar's leaking a number of places, and this council is wrestling with the idea, do we want to put hundreds of thousands of dollars into a dam and dredging for a park that's not even in our community? It's in Londonderry Township.
Right.
So that's when we have all these other parks in town that could use upgrading.
Right, I understand.
So that's what they're wrestling with right now, and your proposal to rent it from us and not own us doesn't get us out of the dredging or the dam repairs.
Well, that's like I was saying, there's money in Harrisburg for that project, for that kind of project.
Well, we're talking to the people in
I've
Harrisburg.
talked to 3 of the people up there, and they tell me, and they come down to the trout stocking when the Fish Commission stocks. I'm there every year for that. And the gentleman from up at Hartwick said, Ed, there's money there to take care of this place. Because I brought it up. He said, there's money. All you gotta do is come up. So, you know, I can get information on that.
Well, we've been talking to the state representative. I mean, he was in on the talks with the Fish and Boat Commission. And
Pardon me?
we've been talking to, the local representative, state representatives about that. And unfortunately, when they say there's money there, money is for specific things and not always for a dam repair. But there's a lot of money out there right now for water infrastructure like pipes in the ground, storm pipes, MS4, for controlling sediment. But the best that the state folks could say from the Fish and Boat Commission and our local representative is that the Army Corps has a grant for dredging. Nobody had any ideas or any kind of grants to rebuild a dam. But the Parks Commissions, DCNR, who we get upgrades from for parks, I don't know if they necessarily have grants to repair dams. But if you have playground equipment or things like that, kayak launches, different things, for recreation, yeah. But we can talk with our engineer that, Josh is here, listens to all this. He may know some things that he can talk with his folks and see if they know of something for.
I can even talk to him on the side sometime, meet him out there and talk to him on what's going on. But
Just so you have an understanding of what we're wrestling with is
right.
there's
But
two big repairs.
there's a lot of people that don't want to see it sold, where they can't go out and enjoy themselves. I know there's people, hundreds of people go out there a year.
Yeah, we talked even about, is there some conservancy out there who would take it over and take over ownership
Right.
and then let them run it and invest in repairs in the future, like Pennsylvania Conservancy, somebody like that could keep it the way it is. But, a small municipality like Middletown, we have a lot of infrastructure, and everything, as you know, is very costly now, from parks to roads to, deteriorating storm systems that we have to deal with. And we have to make choices some point what we're gonna invest in and what we're gonna be able to keep.
All right. So, that's all I have.
But we'll let you know if it, comes
I'll
up again,
come-
you can.
Yeah.
Gonna bring it up the February meeting or anything?
I don't know what council's intentions are, but, I haven't gotten any direction from them where they wanna go with this yet, so.
Right.
Mr. Barber, were you able to check our agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yeah,
you would see it on the agenda then.
okay.
All righty.
That's on the website? Your,
Yes, it is.
And when I know, I can, and Matt's here and Greg, we see it on the agenda, I think we all have your phone number, we can
Yeah.
call you.
I've been here how many times, yeah. So,
Okay?
okay, we'll keep doing what we've been doing on the, trash. We go down, collect trash, and then we either bring it in or else, John used to send one of the highway trucks out to pick it up.
All right, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Any more general public comment?
I just have one thing real quick I wanted to let everybody know. Last year, January 23rd was the incident with Sean Manier in Royalton Borough. And as of today, January 17th, only 6 days shy of that date, he returned to work full-time at Cleveland Brothers, so.
Excellent.
Wonderful news.
Great news.
Thank you for sharing that. Any other general public comment? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn to executive session? We won't be returning.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.